Hi, my name is Terry Wickham. I'm the writer, director, and producer of Double Vision, Devil's Five, and the upcoming horror anthology, Beginning to the End, that includes two films I directed, both Beginning to the End, the first segment, and the last called AI. When you have been reviewing books about filmmakers and making movies as long as I have, in combination with the perspective of being a filmmaker myself, I think it's fair to say I have a solid foundation on which to judge this type of book. Today, I'm reviewing an amazing book, came out at the end of last year, called Steven Spielberg, the iconic filmmaker and his work by Ian Nathan. It was put out by a company called White Lion Publishing. It's 176 pages long and it goes for $36 in the United States. What separates Ian Nathan from everyone else is the precision he chooses his words and his ability to channel his thoughts into each filmmaker's cinematic voice. It's special, it's unique, and it's the reason why you should buy any book the English writer produces. I cherished reading Steven Spielberg, the iconic filmmaker, and his work because Nathan's book covers Spielberg's filmography from front to back. Not only that, but this handsome book is put together with such loving care in terms of, look, it's got a hard case, which is really cool. Then the book itself is gold. It's on beautiful paper. The selection of photos, and it's hard to see this with this camera, but the way it's laid out, it's just a labor of love that any filmmaker or film fan, even just a curious person that about movies, would enjoy. What's really cool for me about this book is I've been watching Steven Spielberg's work even before I was aware that it was Steven Spielberg. By that, I mean as a young boy growing up in the late 60s and early 70s, I remember watching Night Gallery, Columbo, Marcus Welby, MD, and the TV suspense juggernaut film Duel. Yet I had no knowledge or perception that it was Spielberg because at that time, the legendary filmmaker was just getting his start in television. Then in 1975, I saw Jaws in the drive-in with my grandparents when it was first released, and it had such a big impact on me and my friends that I remember in grade school, believe it or not, we had planned when we grew up to get a boat, become shark experts, even though every one of us was scared to death of those big fish with razor sharp teeth that could kill you. Close Encounters of the Third Kind was one of the handful of movies that I ever had the chance to see in a theater with my dad. That movie left such an indelible impression on me that last summer in 2024, my daughter and I actually went to see the film's anchor location, Devil's Tower, in Wyoming, which is a pretty unforgettable place. I don't want to go through every Spielberg film experience I've had since then, but I think you get the message that I've been following his work pretty much since his cinematic birth. Ian Nathan takes his substantial movie experience of watching Steven Spielberg's work and shares his passionate view of what he thinks of every single film Spielberg put his hands on. Nathan extracts all sorts of fascinating details about every production besides giving his opinion. He's pretty fair, his thoughts about each movie. He doesn't just try to bash them or attack them. In truth, he's a guy that loves movies like I do, and I think that those people are the most fun to read because they're there to kind of enlighten you about these movies. His style is highly detailed, just gets under certain things that and give you a perspective you won't hear from anyone else. My favorite chapters were the third chapter called The Big Fish, where Nathan devotes 20 glorious pages of well-written words and behind-the-scenes photos and movie stills from Jaws, which is easily one of the most important films ever made for the cinema. The fourth chapter, Shock and Awe, gives 19 pages focusing on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1941, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. In the eighth chapter, Making History, is where Nathan spends 17 pages talking about Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. Two amazing movies any way you look at that. Steven Spielberg, the iconic filmmaker, and his work is a labor of cinematic love that you absolutely must have if you're any sort of fan of great movie making from the best filmmaker book author on the planet.